I'd like to now ask Mr. Guy Smith, I believe he's here in the back. Recently announced his retirement after 40 and a half years worth of educational service to, and most of them in Lexington one, and many of them in the Pillion community, as a matter of fact. I believe we said 28 years or something like that in just the Pillion community itself. So, Mr. Smith, thank you. An extraordinary career and for all the work you've done. And we look forward to hearing your update today.
Thank you so much. I wasn't expecting that, so I appreciate that very much. It's been a pleasure all those years to serve. I told someone today I've been going to school since 1963. That was first grade, not teaching, but I started so early that we didn't have kindergarten in Pillion School, so it's been a pleasure. I take a point of privilege to Ms. Yasvi Patel is a White Knoll Middle School product, so it was just a joy to see her here tonight presenting and doing such a wonderful job. And thank you guys for your service and what you do for us at White Knoll. Quick update this evening to kind of touch base back to some of the things that we've spoken of before that went into our plan going forward. As you know, we changed our schedule significantly this year, and particularly in our core classes. So our teachers now teach 4 core classes a day instead of 5. And at this point in the year, that has allowed us to gain extra time in language arts, math, science, and social studies. And if you do the math on that, we added about 10 minutes to each period. So halfway through the year, we've gained about 15 hours of instructional time in those 4 classes. So we think that is going to have to reap benefits. We know it has given our teachers time to do things that we want them to do, particularly in the workshop model for language arts and math. So we're excited about that. Our schedule also provided for 3 academic connections classes for our students, and those are all our exploratory classes and world language together. So all of our students are scheduled into academic connections classes. In the past, sometimes because we weren't doing pull-out in certain areas, some of our students did not get those academic connections classes because they might be in 4 core classes and, 5 core classes, and also resource math and language arts, those kind of situations.
May I ask a quick question? Since you did a math problem, I'm sorry to interrupt you in the middle of your presentation, but you're retiring, so I'm going to go ahead and interrupt you. So we did 15 hours of extra instruction in the core classes, but then an additional 45 minutes a day or 42 minutes a day or whatever the exact number is of extra support in the academics connections class, which is another significant chunk of time that you're providing in your schedule for academic support that we did not have previously. Is that correct?
Actually, academic connections is the new title we gave for our exploratory classes. Most of our students receiving academic support are receiving that through a push-in model.
Gotcha.
With our resource and RTI and ESOL teachers pushing into those core classes and co-teaching.
Gotcha.
Good question. Thank you, sir. Quick update on summer enrichment. We used part of our funding to do summer school at our place last summer. 25 students successfully completed that and were promoted. Shared this picture with some folks. They thought it was a bad-looking picture, but I kept it because it looks like the kid is having a terrible time, but actually he is engrossed in reading in the middle of the summer, so left that in there. We are monitoring those students' progress during the year. It is somewhat of a mixed bag, but more of them are on target to be successful this year than they were at this point last year, so we're continuing interventions with those students particularly, and our counselors and grade level administrators are monitoring their progress. We did go this year to a full push-in model in special education resource, RTI, and ESOL. Now we do have some students who also go to pull-out classes during their academic connection time, but not nearly as many as before, and those teachers are now pushing in with our core teachers. They're working on multiple models of that, and we're also finding, particularly halfway through the years, we're looking at student progress that we are really thinking hard about personalized interventions for those students. Our math coach, for instance, is is pulling some small groups right now to work on attacking some of the problems we're having, students that are struggling at this point. Our literacy coach is working with our teachers to do the same thing, and we're brainstorming other ways to really identify kids who are in need of extra support that they might be missing through push-in. Classroom libraries was a major push for us this year as well, and we are continuing to enhance those. We spent this past year about $30,000 for books. Those came from the special state funds we got. Our emphasis there was on nonfiction because we knew that was an area of need in our classroom libraries. We also used $2,500 from the Educational Foundation, and our emphasis there was on varied lexiles, some of them lower lexiles with high interest topics for students who needed books they could dive into. Reading has been a huge move for us this year. We've tried to infuse that in everything we do. We are working hard on the workshop model. Our first semester was a particular emphasis on reading stamina. Hopefully you can come in our building and ask any student, and hopefully any adult, what they're reading currently, and they can give you an answer. And we're moving now to particularly working on more complex text. We did a school-wide book club, and we're doing another one of those this second semester. We're utilizing our news show for book talks and also transformation stories. We're highlighting students on the news who were not comfortable with reading or who saw themselves as just really not liking to read, not getting into it, and we're highlighting their stories on the morning news as they find themselves becoming excited about reading. We've had a couple of comfy, cozy deer days, drop everything and read. So if you come out and catch us in sweats or whatnot, that's what's going on. We are continuing through our district work with ELA lab sites. We are working on staff reading emphasis as well. The visual on the right, this is outside one of our teachers' doors. We use a lot of tags and badges, and this particular teacher just caught my eye. These are books that she has read this year, books that she's got on her list to read, and one she wants. Our goal in this was to have kids see that we are reading as well, and our teachers are excited about reading. Some of these are middle-level books, some of them are professional books, and some are just books she reads in her leisure. And you can see down our hallways, folks are badging themselves. We've got a book bingo party coming up, and also 2020 Challenge Read. We're challenging kids and staff to push themselves into a genre or a particular length of book or a particular kind of reading that they're not real comfortable with, and to make that their challenge read and to share how that goes with students in class or with their fellow staff members. And of course, writing is the flip side of that. Again, we're working in the workshop units of writing. First semester was again a focus on stamina and celebrating what kids do with writing celebrations. All of our grade levels are moving this 9 weeks into research-based writing as they move into that unit of study. Our other key area of focus obviously was math. Our teachers have, at this point in the year, already participated in 3 lab site trainings led by Mr. Dillon from the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. And we also have 2 district lab site visits that we've done. One has taken place already, one is coming up, and those focused on student engagement and collaborative work. In addition, we added a math coach to our staff this year to kind of round out our coaching support, and she's done a multitude of things. A book study with the math teachers, beefing up classroom materials. We've also used some funding for that. Faculty and student math challenges. She's currently working with small groups, and just really focusing with those teachers and putting materials into their hands that they can use immediately and get to work. One of the things that we found particularly successful this year, this is our literacy coach, by the way, but our fall curriculum night was designed to be 2 things particularly, to be student-led, so our students presented in classrooms that got our parents out in large numbers, And we also had each department come home with something to take home. Our math department, for instance, came up with a collection of manipulatives and cards and games and ideas for parents to use at home with their children to practice math and also to use like during game nights. And also the book fair made an appearance. We gave out lots of books. Finally, our priority funding plan for next year is in place, and we'll begin working towards that. And these are our main components: to continue funding our math instructional coach, to again provide the summer enrichment program for students who need a little extra push to make it to the next level. We will begin and are working now to begin planning for becoming an Avid site, and to continue growing our classroom libraries and working on materials for math classrooms. Yes, I close by saying Teddy Roosevelt was known for his enthusiasm and energy and effort. One of his sayings was, "Isn't it great to be alive and have all this good work to do?" So I think that's our charge at White Knoll Middle, and what you guys do every day. So,
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any questions?
Have you gotten much feedback from the parents and some of the changes you've implemented? Just anecdotal. What are the parents saying?
we are hearing back about student reading. It's been really interesting. And that was kind of a combination of having time in the classroom to really do workshop model with many lessons, and then putting students to work in either reading or writing. So we are really giving students opportunities to get into reading, and we're hearing back some of those stories from home. Things that we've tried to connect with parents at home about how to help their children and get them into books and do some things at home. We're also hearing some stories back from parents about what they're seeing going on with their kids. So it's been exciting.
Thank you, sir.